Díomh Cordia agus Banach Tíl Beltana. Hello friends and welcome to Mayday. This is the 1st of May. This is Eat the Storms, a poetry podcast, and this special episode is called May Storm, celebrating Poetry Day Ireland. So thank you to you, the poetic peeps and gentle persons, the in-betweeners and nonconformers, the genders X and genders equal, and all of you who have tuned in today, tomorrow, next week, or perhaps even yesterday. We have 32 poets representing each of the 32 counties on the island of Ireland. They will be reading 32 poems in total, celebrating our island's diversity, creativity, and most of all, community. Let's begin by saying a huge thank you to Poetry Ireland for their support of this special episode. Thanks to them and their Bright Ideas Fund, every one of the poets taking part in today's episode will be paid, which is the first time for us here on Eat the Storm, so I am absolutely delighted. This is a bumper episode filled with so many voices, so many accents, so much talent that we're just going to jump right in. As always, the podcast is available on multiple platforms, including Spotify, Apple, Breaker, Podbean, Player FM, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castbox, Podcast Addicts, iTunes, Amazon Music, and even YouTube. My name is Damien B. Donnelly. I get the honour, the pleasure and the true delight of being your host and producer. And to you, the listeners, I'm sure you know the drill by now. Make sure you're in a comfortable chair, or perhaps you're out on a walk. Maybe you're on a train or on a coach or even on an aeroplane. But I hope you have a sweet treat at hand and a glass of something to keep you hydrated, because this is going to be one hell of a show. This is May Storm here on Eat the Storms, a poetry podcast celebrating Poetry Day Ireland. So let's go explore this country and all its counties. And to get us started, who better than one of the brightest and most cheerful rising stars on the island today, a Belfast-born poet, facilitator and events coordinator who completed an MA at Ulster University. She's facilitated at workshops at the Sheamus Heaney Home Place, has had work appearing in Howl, Tiernanog, Tulsa Review. Her poem, If Stone Could Speak, was showcased by Bushmills for the Causeway collection. Her long poem, New Impressions, was published by the John Hewitt Society and the Arts Council of Northern Ireland. She's read her poetry as part of the UN buffer zone in Cyprus, at the Northern Ireland Executive Office in Brussels, at the Embassy of Ireland in Den Haag in the Netherlands, and in Dublin Castle for the 3rd Shared Island Forum. Recently, she's been commissioned to write for and perform in the Guildhall as part of the Field Day Lecture 2024, and she's the current poet in residence for TransLink's new Grand Central Station in Belfast. Recently, she coordinated the Look North as part of the North Belfast Festival 2025 for County Antrim to start us off on our All-Ireland Showcase today on Poetry Day Ireland, May Storm. Please be upstanding for Niamh McNally.
Hi everyone, it's Niamh McNally here, and I feel so privileged that I'm representing County Antrim in this year's poetry podcast. Thank you so much for having me. I am a big fan of Eat the Storm, so thank you. I really appreciate it. I'm going to read a poem that I've written recently for Belfast 2024. That was a citywide cultural programme that celebrated Belfast creativity and identity, and this poem was written for the compilation video of the entire event over the year, which is very exciting. So I'm going to read it now, and it's called Our Stories. I hope you enjoy, and thank you again for having me on. Our Stories. A city rolled into a seahorse's tail, a symbol of resilience, perseverance. Each note is filled with hope, those lightning strobes brightening shadow docks, those patient roots bubbling under soil beside the loch. Then that river. Movement uncurling, boats drifting into a now we're uncovering. Connection makes dance visceral, then calm like confetti softening along cribbies. Bodies in full flow move to the beat of streets in mid-stride, their shoulders back, inhaling, pacing straight into this freshly composed phase. Our stories. Written up every entry, woven in roads dyed with history, overcome with hard laughs, printed when roundabouts meet paragraphs, sprayed into the places we slag, but its pages are ours and the place is ours, and the same sense of humour and artistic urgency fuels the vibrancy that turns our wee city into a patchwork fusion of poetry. Bird boxes are packed on fresh murals. A woman's face decorates the canvassed cityscape. Street lights blur our all too familiar rainy eyes as we smile in the light of that North Star shine. Music plays perfectly inside the smudged lines. Listen, stop and just feel it. We have arrived. Come in. Sit by the hearth. Tell a story, any story. Yours, ours.
Our Armagh poet currently lives in Belfast in County Antrim, and she's no stranger to the podcast, with work published in places like Washing Windows and Irish Women Write Poetry, along with the Poetry Jukebox and the remarkable Dark Angels, 3 contemporary poets, which you've heard lots about here on the podcast. She is currently on the MA programme at Queen's University in Belfast and is the Vice Chair of Irish Pen na hÉireann. It's always a pleasure to have her back on the podcast today for County Armagh. This is Therese Kieran.
Mayday. The day begins, and something akin to summer wafts in the open window. I am filled with shades of past times, holidays heavy with heat, eyes squinting through splintered light. Hope circles like faint perfume on skin, and I like the sound of maybe today, a flat, a job, a friend, maybe.
As my next guest has penned more than 100 poems for Carlow, who else could we have represent County Carlow than the author of Reading John Ashbery in Costa Coffee Carlow, which was shortlisted for the Shine Strong Award. He is also the author of Sipping Martinis on Mount Leinster, which arrived last year, and his poems have been published in a wide range of places, including the Irish Times, the Irish Pages, the Stinging Fly, Poetry Salzburg Review, and the Honest Ulsterman, to name but a few. Fresh from lecturing in Carlow College St Patrick's, it's a joy to have back with us for this special episode for County Carlow. This is the city's own Derek Coyle.
Hello, this is Derek Coyle, your Carlow Bard here. I'm going to bring you a little bit of May light via Clogrennan Woods, which is a really beautiful ancient woods very near where I live here on the edge of Carlow town. So, this is Carlow poem number 115. Some folk travel from the far side of Mount Leinster across country to Clogrennan in the townland of Raheen Doran to see the bluebells every April or May. It's like nature has rolled out her royal carpet in blue to greet the spring, finally say farewell to winter. Come the last week of March, and you'll not see them, the first week of June, and they're gone until next year. These little bulbs of blue light sitting around the feet of beech, larch, spruce. Even the mighty oak is afraid to crush this beauty underfoot, or so it seems. I'd like to take them home, great armfuls, to scatter across the floors of bedroom, stairwell, kitchen, nature's carpet, rising up between wild garlic, fern, herb rocket, these bulbous perennials, these tubular bells, their cream anthers, little sparks of light.
We have a first-time voice to the podcast now to represent County Cavan, though possibly a voice you will all recognise, as she's had poetry and short stories published in a wide range of literary journals, including Crannog, Skylight 47, The Honest Ulsterman, The Stony Thursday Book, The Ogham Stone and Poetry Ireland Review. She has 3 collections of poetry, At the Edge and Treads, both published by Lapwing, and Elsewhere, which was published by Vol Imprint. Her 4th collection, Practically a Wake, is due with Salmon Poetry very soon. For County Cavan, it's an honour to welcome to the podcast for the first time the fantastic Kate Enels.
PPS from Cavan by Kate Enels. In response to Sheamus Heaney's postscript. At risk of turning this into an ad for Ireland, you may want to travel to County Cavan, for there the wind is always up with fierce intent, blowing spores of bloodied rock, drenched in storm and moonlight. The place is a palimpsest of history, legend layered on leaps of myth, grey slate skies rained by crows and ravens, cores of silence on black scrawny wings. No ocean glitters, there is no flaggy shore, but there are giants, Lug and Lag, who jumped a gorge in the name of love, left a chasm, a land of relics, tossed with glacial erratics, a carbuncle of a fossil. Rooted and ancient, you will feel rather than see Quilcaloom, a cannon of earth spraying bullets of cloud. It shoulders the head of the north, tempers the south, from where craggy rivulets of pale faces stare amongst the raggy sheep, seeking refuge behind old Cranog's piles of stones. The flesh of the land is weak, porous, lime mixed with water. Its heathery purple blood floods lakes that rise where ghosts ascend in morning mists, stride, muttering, into dark pine forests. Limestone rock provides not a glint of warmth. Trees grasp and clutch at bare-knuckled earth, expose Neolithic tombs, funereal monuments. They too catch the heart off guard and blow it open. From my book Threads, published by Lapwing.
Now, next up, for a county that is far too beautiful to be represented by just one poet, I'm delighted to say we have two poets representing County Clare. The first is an award-winning eco-poet and environmental writer, the author of 3 collections of poetry with Daedalus Press, the most recent of which is The Church of the Love of the World, which was shortlisted for the Farmgate Cafe National Poetry Award and the Laurel Prize. This is her second time to represent County Clare on the podcast, so I'm thrilled to welcome back the sensational poet to Eat the Storms, celebrating Poetry Day Ireland for County Clare. This is Grace Wells.
Curlew. Above the beach at Kilmacreehey, 10 curlews become 11 curlews. In a small flock of wing and glide, I follow after like a younger child. Birds possessed of little more than sky, a sky so blue it turns the waves aquamarine and lights the wet sand cobalt blue. Liscannah Bay becomes so sheltering that I am almost fooled to forget how the curlews are fading now. The wings that fly around my head trace a fragile cusp of life. The wick of their species is burning low. So in the way that others sit at the bedsides of the dying, I accompany the curlews out to where their blue sands will surely end. But each soft step sinks me deeper into our earth's embrace. And when the curlews call, their song enchants, lifting me with them until I am airborne, feathered, flying.
And our second poet for County Clare is also no stranger to the podcast, as last year she appeared on our Poetry Day Ireland episode as one part of the group Phoenix and Wolf, who provided music for our special episode. She is, of course, a poet, and she's appeared previously on the podcast reading her poetry. She's also a singer-songwriter and performer, a member of the Clare Poetry Collective, and recently received an Artist to Artist Mentorship Award with Glore, and was an awardee of the Clare Arts Office Embrace programme in 2024. Taking a break from working on her first poetry collection, Vignettes of a Rebellious Toddler, fantastic name, for County Clare, this is a multi-talented Amanda Jane Shannon.
Díomh a chuirde is Misha Amanda anseo I Gunday an Chlár. Hello guys, it's me Amanda reading a poem for Mayday from County Clare, and thank you again Damien for having me. May Queen. If for one day I could be a butterfly, I would regale my kingdom like a May Queen. A honeyed bee with her pollen crown, no longer the torture of summer or hawthorn flowers. No more a prisoner of contracting chambers, I would find in all corners colours so vivid, brighter than the fruit of the hive. Peopled gardens would boast their power as I hang, a feat riskier than staring directly into the belly of the sun. I wouldn't fly too close either, like Icarus. I'd be too attracted to the flaxen shimmer of the lakes of my county. My reflection counted gloriously among them, all petal wings and delicate. I would dance on gentle May-day breezes. I would wilt a little into their pockets and be lifted. I would lean into the embrace of the sense being carried by the breath of the Spirit, and I would linger for as long as the day would grace me with the sun's golden liquor. Horse chestnuts would hang sensually like silk negligee, carving curves in summer's unyielding heat. I would drown in the warbling sweetness of finches and wagtails, manuscripts busy and movable. Nettle borders would mingle with dock leaves and cleaver while cherry blossoms rain, and I would choose the sleeping wrist for my landing. Míle buíochas, Damien.
It's time to start howling now as we travel to County Cork for our next county poet, who is the co-founder of Howl, the Journal of New Irish Writing, and also the co-founder of Lime Square Poets, along with Dora Zeifer. Last week, her debut chapbook, Taxidermy Heart, was published by Cork City Libraries, and the second chapbook will be published very shortly by Southward Editions. She is a winner of the Patrick Kavanagh Award, the Kurt New Writing Prize, the Southward Subscribers Writing Prize, and most recently, the Fool for Poetry Chapbook Competition. It is a joy to have with us today, representing County Cork, the wonderful Lauren O'Donovan.
Thanks so much, Damien. It's an honour to be here to take up the baton for Cork. The poem I'm going to read is called May, and it's from a long sequence of poems that forms my upcoming chapbook, Superposition, which is to be published by Southward Editions. May. The beech trees this year scream abundance, branch after branch bushing out from bottom trunks, soil to sky, an infinity of heart-shaped wings. That woman pushing a baby in a buggy, can she feel the weight of my ambition in her tired arms? Tiny globes of dandelion seed bob in the grass, waiting for the tipping point. A sharp breeze, a child's kick, perched at the precise moment between their peak and a sudden death/burst of new life. The small girl asks a fly what it prefers, a flick or a blow. On the park wall, two crows sway like stoned surfers, staring up at Basant festival kites. Thin coloured paper stretched on stick skeletons, trailing long plumes of crepe ribbons. Squint hard enough, they might be hawks. It's embarrassingly easy to propagate a pothos. Should I cut off my baby finger, leave it to root in a glass jar on the windowsill? The fates weave DNA, not cloth, the genetic testing nurse states. If each child were a coin, the chance of 3 in a row is 1 in 8.
To County Derry now for another first-timer to Eat the Storms, a member of the Diamond Writers and the Writing Thing groups. His video poem Borderland was selected for screening at 5 international film festivals, and he was the winner of the Best Spoken Word Poetry at the Miracle Maker International Film Festival in 2023. He was also the winner of the Francis Brown Literary Competition in 2024. His poetry has been in places like Poetry in Motion, the Translink anthology, Writing from the Heart from Inspired anthology, The Honest Ulsterman, the Madrigal magazine, and the Bangor Literary Journal. I'm very happy to welcome for the first time to East the Storms today for Poetry Day Ireland representing County Derry. This is Sheamus McDermott.
Hi there, delighted to be on this May edition of Eat the Storms. My name is Sheamus McDermott. I'm representing County Derry. Thanks very much, Damien, for this opportunity. I'm going to read a poem about my grandfather who lived in the countryside just outside Greysteel in County Derry. And this poem is about Granda taking us on a shortcut to Mass on a Sunday morning. Down by Hazelnut Glen. Going to pray at the Star of the Sea, Granda takes me by the big oak tree. Through the hazelnut glen, down that path we travel again. Dappled shadows on his face show me we're in a special place. Stepping from rock to mound, from mossy stone to solid ground. A mountain stream shows us the way. Through a carpet of bluebells we go to pray. On this path he is free, no struggle does he see. Pace your stride, I'll be by your side. Generation spans where my foot lands. And when I'm not there to guide, I'll still be at your side to show you once again the path through Hazelnut Glen.
And we are heading up to Donegal for another returning guest to the podcast, a Stormer in fact, as her work has appeared both in the podcast and in our Storms Journal. Last issue, issue 4, which was our celebration of the city of Dublin. This Donegal resident has performed in the Waterside Theatre, 10 by 9, and also Words by the Water. She was longlisted for the Curt New Writing in 2022 and was highly commended for the Francis Browne Festival. Along with last year's Storms Journal, her work will also appear in Inspired anthology Caught a Light, due out very shortly. For County Donegal, it's a real pleasure to have back with us today for Poetry Day Ireland, Katherine Kay.
Hello, my name is Katherine Kay and I'm very happy to be representing County Donegal in this May Storms podcast in conjunction with Poetry Ireland. Thank you, Damien, for the opportunity. My poem is called Mayday, Baby. Ah, here you come, a shimmer on the fringe of summer, harebell mauve plaiting iris yellow, tassels bob on fresh season's hem. Glowing gorse, proud proof of Beltana, fans a halo of golden fire silhouetting your laughing head. Bouncing yourself through near new heather, a May Queen parading herself on high. Swatches of primroses cast buttermilk beams, spotlighting your renewal. Red currant blooms unfurl to greet your tiptoeing path to summer's pinnacle. Oh, here you stand, Mayday baby, your birthday optimism, revived lush testimony. Fresh fires can catch, ancient springs will flow. Many thanks.
And my next guest brings us to County Down, though this poet was born in Kinsale here in Dublin and is the author of 2 collections of poetry, both of which were published by Dira Press. The most recent was 4,000 Keys, published in 2024, and her debut collection in the Museum of Misremembered Things features the winning poem from the Irish Book Awards Poem of the Year 2020. She has had poems in various journals and anthologies and was a winner of the Sheamus Heaney Award for New Writing in 2018, and that same year was the winner of the Red Line Book Festival Poetry Competition. Another Storm star who's been featured multiple times on the podcast and also in our Storms Journal. Our Poetry Day Ireland journey wouldn't be complete without County Down's bright light. That is Linda McKenna.
Learning to swim. Every woman should know how to swim, so she can navigate the treachery of land, the currents and riptides dragging her back to the crossroads of youth, paths never taken, the waxing and waning longing of streets. We stand in a line at the tiled edge of shamelessness, detached from the world, its purses and earrings, the tightly woven reins of mother and daughter. Immersed in this warm, cocooned womb, we imagine navigating by stars, charting the progress of gulls, tasting 10 types of rain. Everything we might need before meeting the sea, its tangle of driftwood and salt, fish bones and rope, our proper element.
Swimming in now from her home in Dalkey, this is our Dublin poet who's originally from County Wexford, the author of 6 collections of poetry published by Blood Axe Books, the most recent of which you already heard on the podcast when she joined us last year reading poems from her latest collection, May Swim. She's been the recipient of the O'Shaughnessy Award for Irish Poetry, is a former journalist for the Irish Times and creative writing teacher whose poetry has appeared in international journals and anthologies. I am very excited to welcome her back today, celebrating Poetry Day Ireland. To represent County Dublin, this is the marvellous Katie Donovan.
My name is Katie Donovan. This poem, May Swim, was written in celebration of my local beach, White Rock, which is just near Dalkey in County Dublin, and was a lifeline for me during the first lockdown of the COVID-19 pandemic, when we were only allowed to go within 2 kilometres of our homes. May Swim, White Rock, 2020. I wade in, my hands wringing from the pain of the water's freezing touch, its greed to suck the warmth from my toasted skin. After immersion, every cell tingles, glowing and replete. I peel off wet togs and dress, the clench of fear released. I'm a sea pink, blooming in the rocks.
Balancing perfectly on the border of Fermanagh and Leitrim, our award-winning writer and performer for County Fermanagh is a very welcomed returning guest here at Eat the Storms. I'm delighted to say her debut collection, Stench, was published last year by Arlen House. In 2021, her poem Sweet Spot also represented County Fermanagh and was featured on BBC and Radio Ulster's 40th anniversary show at the Ulster Hall. Her writing spans poetry, memoir, short stories, and so today, what a thrill it is to hand you over to our County Fermanagh poet, the bloody poetic Trish Bennett.
Hi, this is Trish Bennett, and I'm representing County Fermanagh with a poem from my debut collection, Stench, and the poem is Sweet Spot, Lower Lough Erne viewed from Clara Road, Blaney. Sweet Spot. Each morning I grasp the curtains with tired hands and fling my arms wide. Rings rattle in retreat on their rail as the Fermanagh Monet fills my frame. I await the lift like a cradled child. Sun tackles showers on in-between days. Sprinkles of rainbow are cast upon isles. Boats speckle the loch like white chocolate chips, rippling the mirrored reflection of sky. My eyes soak it up as the day kicks in. I float away on a natural high. Each night I take a closing fix. Through the shadows, Irvinstown twinkles a smile. A handful of jewels draped on the end of one arm, while I perch content on the other side.
My next guest barely needs an introduction, as she is a regular guest here on the podcast and also a two-time contributor to the Storms Journal. She is a bilingual Poetry Ireland Introduction Series poet from 2022, and in 2023 she was shortlisted for the Evan Boland Emerging Poets Award. In 2024, she was the winner of the Fiach Dove, the Irish language poetry competition at the Fingal Poetry Festival, and last year she was an awardee of the Kilreelig residency from the Irish Writers' Centre. She's had work appearing in a number of journals, including Ropes, Channel, Howl, The Four-Faced Liar, Washing Windows, Poetry Ireland Review, and the Galway Review. Her work has also been broadcast on RTE Radio na Gaeltachta and Radio na Leaf. Please give a fantastic bullabus to our County Galway poet, Kathrina Lane.
Díomh Chorja agus Banachtaí na Bealtaine ó Connemara. This is Kathrina Lane in Connemara, reading for County Galway. I'm going to read as Gaeilge and then the translation. Ortha na Bealtaine. Shahagan banrian na Bealtaine balbeag. Blá bán na Bealtaine fui vlá. Shakan, náfan roada, ta ruddy le réiteach. Raunig skakachin and akanati. Mashigi le cligini gurama rabini is if a kabui. Balig an taimet is aimshig an volacht. Sha I an iha. Can malach she a yebert. Lig dan a lasrica lea me drone of lahas. Is beg flourish in the manya le crew on chanvo. Teachala galua can airi gemach. Shul cos nacht air glas gal a veg fluch. Wadjan na maidjana, sha e an desh. Droegt oor na Bealtaine a vlas de veil. Ní creach na kshinne o de aigl horní. Teis a toir an tubber con jachriachta a shiel. Phil an skahans a shumra folk a lashti. His fek for spervan an taurig, tevlat, a gui. Invoking the May. Her blossoms in bloom, there is much to make ready. Make haste,
The Queen of the May is on her way. Choose a golden gorse by the cottage to decorate with bluebells and ribbons and coloured eggshells. Harvest wind-snapped wood to burn and round up the cattle. This May Eve we make our own magic to banish the thieving she. Let the flames rise phoenix-like towards heaven's skies. Now, even the old cow will milk for us a wealth in health. Early to bed, now early to rise, we will walk barefoot on bright green grass. The Virgin's morning, the best time to taste her new dew on our mouths. Wash away the world's wounds in washing our face with a wish. Following all the way down to the well to drink the elixir of dreams. Now, return home to the mirror which hangs on the wall. Look sideways over your right side to see her smiling spirit. The Summer Queen has arrived.
Last month, thanks to Cultivating Voices, the West Coast of America Poetic Zoom extravaganza, curated by the marvellous duo that is Sandy Anon and Kim Ports-Parson, I had the honour of reading alongside my next guest. This poet, originally born in South Africa, has been living in the west coast of Ireland since 1979 and today is our County Kerry representative. A long-time member of the Kenmare Clan na Farraga Writers Group and also the Sneem Writers Group. Her poetry has appeared in many places like Curlew, Boyneberries, Poets Meet Painters and the Stony Thursday book. Her debut poetry collection, New Soil, was published last year by Revival Press, and it really is a treat to be joined once again this year by our County Kerry poet, Pamela Muller.
The bright days. Prickly profusion of yellow gorse cluster the hillsides and fields. Buzzing pollinators fill the perfumed air. The bright days of amorous encounters, vociferous, boisterous frogs embracing. Tender new birch and beech leaves emerge, and birds loudly claim hedgerow branches. Leveret litters huddle in shallow forms on the pale amber tresses of dry ffynnon. Until someone lights a match out of season, and the spark catches and leaps along the hills. Thick wildfire smoke races the wind, golden firs aflame, the panicked biome. Every year the same cry, Mayday, Mayday. From afar, the wail of a fire engine.
We are heading now to County Kildare for an artist who was formerly a native of County Longford and turned her back on a past life as a hotelier to fully focus on the arts. She's had solo exhibitions of her paintings and throughout this journey of canvas and colour has been writing poems to mark the milestones. Her poetry is a process of reduction, isolating essential ingredients of the subject, distilling it down and building the image around it. She joined us last season on the podcast and I am so pleased that she's come back today to represent County Kildare. It is a real pleasure to hand you over to Zita McGarry.
Bridget of Kildare. A pagan chieftain's open heart lay dying, his deeply fateful eyes upon her shining. Her fingers worked the rushes to God's will, to shape the horizontal against the grain. Her woven cross of creativity is strong. A cloak across the fertile fields lays long. Love's language lingers in the candlelight of faith, as Brett's own words brings tales of sweet salvation. On the journey into the bright, into the light of Bridget.
And picking up the baton now for County Kilkenny is the winner of the Anthology Short Stories Award in 2020, whose work has appeared in places like Poetry Jukebox, The Honest Ulsterman, Trasna and Postbox. In 2024, Gill published her debut children's book, Little Irish Folklore Friends. Joining us for the first time today on Eat the Storms to celebrate Poetry Day Ireland and our own May Storm, I am so pleased to welcome Niamh Donnelly.
May I Have This Dance by Niamh Donnelly. Summer's here, the cuckoo calls, the black and amber's buzzing. Roll out the primrose carpet, let the bright dawn chorus sing. Hawthorn blossom rains confetti on living petals in the flowers. Cabbage white and orange tip flit away the hours. Mayfly dance above the Nore where the water's warbling too. The kingfisher makes a cameo, an iridescent flash of blue. Time to wear your daisy crown, take your place as Queen of May. See our world in all its wonder, enjoy this giddy summer's day.
We are heading to the ancient lands of County Laois now to make a deep dive into our Celtic roots for a first-timer to Eat the Storms, a poet, storyteller and a visual artist with a keen interest in Irish mythology, in sharing her passion for those ancient traditions associated with our ancestors. She has performed at festivals and events throughout Ireland, and it was an absolute joy to meet her earlier this month at the University of Limerick's Creative Writing Festival. For County Laois, this is Sheila Níoscaladja, or Julie Scully.
Bannachtaí bealtaine ó cúnda Laoise. Is Misha Sheila Níoscaladja agus fáilte rómh go léir an maidin seo. I'm Julie Scully and I'm representing Laois, the most inland county in Ireland. The River Barrow has been ever present in my life. The banks of the Barrow Meadows, and the Grand Canal in Laois, known as the Barrow Line, flowing through my childhood village of Vicarstown. The source of the River Barrow is in the Slieve Bloom Mountains, and at 400 million years old, one of the oldest mountain ranges in Europe. Once its highest point, Ard Éireann, stood proud over the whole of Ireland. During the Celtic festival of Bealtaine, the sacred fires were lit on hills and mountains, starting at the hill of Uisneach and spreading from sacred hill to sacred hill until the entire island of Ireland was joined by fires that celebrated the end of the darkness of winter and the beginning of the light of the summer. Ard Éireann is the only point in Ireland from where the 4 ancient provinces are visible. The women, the Mná, were very central to these celebrations. They tended the ceremonial fires in honour of the Irish goddess Bridget, goddess of fire and goddess of poetry. O Dlún go Dlún, from generation to generation, traditions were passed orally from family to family. One story tells of the mythological goddess Baru as the creator of the river Barrow. Our ancient ancestors believed that water was a portal to the other realms and revered it as the basis of all life. This poem, simply called Mná, is written as Gaeilge, one of the oldest surviving languages in the world. It is in honour of all the Mná, the women that have kept the ancient Celtic traditions such as Bealtaine alive. Mná. Shan Mná. Mná ige. Mná ag amper clan. Mná gan clan. Mná tuirseach le tinnis. Mná brón agus briste. Mná cúndilíse. Mná na héireann. Mná ar fud an domhan. Gach Mná. Bridget, goddess of fire, tuair solace doing. An bon dia Bridget, tuair imbas doing. An bon dia Baru, tuair nheart doing. Guribh míle maith agat.
Next up, we are heading to County Leitrim for a poet who finds constant inspiration in her local landscape and also mixing with the buzz of local writers and artists. Her work has appeared in places like The Cormorant, New Irish Writing, The Irish Independent, The Galway Review and Dreamcatcher. Today, for Poetry Day Ireland and our own May Storm, it's a pleasure to welcome to the podcast for the first time to represent County Leitrim. This is Helen Pinoff.
A dawning. A warm return to Wonder Womb, small domed and clever, cosy, soft stuffed sleeping bag, close zipped in with books and torchlight, whiff of plastic, polyester. Night noises squeak, dark leafy rustles and badgery huff. I wake cold-nosed to havoc of music, the silver skein of wren and confident perfection of robins, a chaos of crows, joyous stanzas of the blackbirds, siskin, wood pigeon, sparrows chip-chip. To sleep here on this soil and rock, pegged into chill Leitrim clay, one polythread thickness from wild, doused in starlight, mountain mist, to breathe in the out-breath of willow and heather, clears my mind to a waterfall pool, a fresh glint on jewelled spiderweb. So it is, this May Sunday dawning. I tune in deeper to a new language, simply of motion, focus my ears, if that's a notion, pricked to secretive wing signatures of the birds, each tribe its own style and sound, subtle vibrations of flashing flight, the purr and whir of fans of feathers. Small lives dash from hedge to wall, stronger sturdy wings push for purchase against the air. Wood pigeons launch up through branches, wings clap, 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 like flapped sheets of laundered linen. I hold my breath close to follow and guess, the dancers, chasers, the quick and the audacious. Feather and bone, they each make their own way, and I am unseen, unheard, till the whiz of plastic unzips the line between their world and mine.
Fans of the fantastic Poetry Zoom Showcase Lime Square Poets will be delighted to know that my next guest, representing County Limerick, is the co-founder and co-host of Lime Square Poets, and also hosts the first Wednesday series in collaboration with the Limerick Writers' Centre. Her work has appeared in places like Abridged, Ink, Sweat and Tears, Howl, Romance Options, Washing Windows, and I'm very honoured to say the Storms Journal. She has performed at readings including Over the Edge, Cultivating Voices, and the Limerick Writers' Centre's April is Poetry Month. Earlier this year, her debut collection on being unable to walk through walls was published by Revival Press for County Limerick. It's the sensational Dor Zeifer.
My name is Dor Zeifer, and I'm writing from Limerick. The poem I'm going to read was written as part of an ongoing and yet to be resolved search for a home. It's called Daft Fantasies, daft as in the property website, and fantasies as in music pieces with roots in improvisation. The poem is in 3 parts and references several places in Limerick City. We let go of the aviary among the rooftops on the island, where lichened tiles played mahjong, the neighbor's bike lying in wait to smooth their furrowed edges. I released the little scuffed up desk facing out onto the campanile in the canal. I wasn't meant to be a garret poet. 2. Wombed within your mother's chair, striped bathrobe cuddling your shoulders, my back crooked within the sofa's arm, sconce light bright behind me. Here, where words have space to sharpen into focus, and the missing aga's hollow faces our bed. The crack we feared winking at the wood burner, and the softened white brick walls still whisper to the paint, finally gone from our amateur fingers, now back to fleshy color. 3. Light enters this house on tiptoe. It doesn't yell its presence out like in my parents' house. The tub here might yet gurgle at my neck. The drawers, lopsided lavender grins, never grow serious, never hide their contents, cutlery in the open. Time is quiet like an Irish novel, and the cuds of mud outside whisper, settle in. Behind the church I call the selfish Jesus. In the deserted garden, the Holy Family have a meeting. Tucked away, the godless and the clergy on retreat redeem our time in reading, writing, behind the golden S-topped ancient wooden door, across the Bishop's Ladies' Bridge, her DNA still scratching at its stones, in treaty with the past.
I'm delighted to say for County Longford, we have another first-timer to Eat the Storms, an emerging spoken word artist who weaves together rhythmic reels of lucid imagery. His live performances command attention. This is a poet with a social conscience, with a strong emphasis on marginalised communities and the problem of those who inhabit them. With work published in the UK, Ireland and the USA for County Longford, it's a joy to welcome for the first time to Eat the Storms to celebrate Poetry Day Ireland. This is Dara Cody.
Your heart is under attack. Ready up those armaments. The old flame is coming back. Have you dusted off the defence plans? Inspected your battlements? The old flame is on the move again, crossing the territories of your heart. Your mind has been invaded, your logic stripped apart. It's Mayday, baby, it's Mayday, and she's winning back your heart. And fall back you try, but her advances are way too strong. No time to draw up new strategies, your forces cannot hold out long. So you send off one last communique, from your head down to your heart. It's Mayday, baby, it's Mayday, your world's being blown apart. You fought this fight many times before, you wish Mama was there to console. The cavalry's not reached the horizon, and the white flag's been run up the pole. Do you lay down to surrender, let her march all over your grave? Do you throw yourself in one last time, your actions either futile, mad or brave? It's Mayday, baby, it's Mayday, better lock up the keys to your heart, because she's coming, marching towards you, she's gonna tear your world apart. It's Mayday, baby, Trebi end, and there's nothing you can do. You've fallen on your knees, cry mercy, your number's up, it's true. Time to hand over your heart, surrender, the moment has come for you. Yes, it's Mayday, baby, it's Mayday, and there's nothing you can do.
Last year, today's County Louth poet joined us for the first time in Eat the Storms. I think it was the first time they actually shared their work on air, and it proved to be quite a remarkable debut as their reading was quite exceptional. So today I'm delighted to have them back in the podcast. They are taking a break from polishing their first poetry collection, which is coming out later this year, and I believe there's also a short story collection and a novella on the way. There's also a string of poems in various publications coming out later this year, and for that, I'm not surprised. For County Louth, I'm so pleased to welcome back to Eat the Storms today for Poetry Day Ireland. This is Puka.
Hello everyone, I'm Puka. I am representing Louth on Chundé Beag at this year's showcase. I wrote this poem especially for it, so I hope you like it. It is called On Our Backs, the Light. When the year knells under the sleeping black, half golden from our blooming beds emerged, we crawl into spring, the light on our backs. We half-light wayfare flickers witness lack of solstice love, though pole stars may converge when the year knells under the sleeping black. We noon-cleft buds, our drowning suns intact, inflict the birthing roots with gorgeous burns. We rage into spring, the light on our backs. We wake-light seeds strung on the twisted rack, sing ourselves green with our wakening dirge when the year knells under the sleeping black. We twilight dewborns car close and stack, days like flowering bodies our tongues surge. We writhe under spring, the light on our backs. You and I, we darling buds, fear light's tracks. Still, each sunspun year, hopeful seasons turn. When the year knells away the sleeping black, we'll dance into spring, the light on our backs. Thank you.
From County Louth, we are heading to the wilds of County Mayo for a much-loved Stormer, whose writing includes poetry, fiction, flash and creative non-fiction. She received a bursary from the Mayo County Council in 2025, an Agility Award from the Arts Council of Ireland in 2023, and a Professional Development Award in 2020 and 2021. With work appearing in places like Washing Windows, Cranogue, The Stony Thursday and many more, it's always a joy to hand you over to the absolutely marvellous Mary Maxwell for County Mayo.
April in the village is Farmer Tony's busy season. Shed lights blazing all hours, the white mares in the fields nicker for red apples, as the hawthorn ruptures through barbed branches. In late April, early May, the yellow gorse sprinkles Tropicana over our village. Farm gates chime pre-dawn, wood smoke drifts airborne. Sweet fermented grasses dangle in the hedges. Farmer Tony's elbow digs deep. Out back, new lambs hopscotch on limestone, butt heads, then snooze on the front stoop. Everywhere new life, tremulous corrals, as lambs, goldfinches, robins and thrushes saturate our world with joy.
On this 1st of May celebration of Beltana, the bringer of light, who better to have representing County Meath than the editor of Drawn to the Light Press, the magazine of contemporary poetry. She is the Poetry Town Laureate of Dunshaughlin, and her first collection of poetry, Wordskin, was published back in December 2023 by Salmon Poetry. She is also the author of the chapbooks Drawn to the Light, What Became of the Horses, and Old Songs for Sarah. With poetry widely published in various anthologies for County Meath, I'm so delighted to hand you over to Orla Fay.
To be loved. For look, she is coming out of drizzling day from the woods, behind laden blossoms, not some Greek deity or Celtic goddess, someone much more modern, a pop star, a songstress. Lady May, the river zephyr, in David Bowie's long boat, a robust rocking queen, carrying Joan Armatrading's oar. Those white sails are hopeful. Summer comes, summer sun, yellow summer spilling ambience in every corner. Darkness be damned, her battle cry, an intense season bringing promise forth, childhood dreams and play, tall meadows, laughter. What is there behind the clouds? A canopy of light, an uplifting bonnet, cotton sheets, blank pages, a flower's fresh chance.
We are leaving the island now and heading to the French Alps, and that's where we're going to find the representative for the mountains of County Monaghan, whose rolling hills are slightly smaller than the height of those Alps. This writer was born in the town of Clones in County Monaghan and has had work in a number of international journals and anthologies, and is currently working on his first poetry collection. Last year, he joined us as one of our contributors to the Storms Journal, and today it's a thrill to welcome him back to represent his home county of County Monaghan. This is Finn Cassidy.
Hello, my name's Finn Cassidy.
My poem, titled A Longing, is inspired by and dedicated to the rural drumlin dreamscape of my native Monaghan. A longing. My racing head feels like a field of rampaging hares. Buck mad, I chase again their carefree run of the country. I follow down burrowed holes with primrose surrounds, bound by no boundaries, no borders, no limits of time. I'm drumlin dreaming in the middle of the top field, willingly drowning alone, belly up, bottom down. I float and grab hold of bellowed boats on open oceans. Breaks in waves crashing crests reveal sunwreck's rays. Maze shafts shift and slant to slice dark lakes' lazy labours. I still recall how to tread water's beady dew, duly soaked into the soft soil roll of a hill's early summering swell. The free-flowing lie of the land's green rising tides, southerly blowing blades, sprays of buttercup splashes, hide the wild stings and prickly rashes of jellyfish thistles. In the top northern corner, a brazen borderless robin listens from the old lopsided lobster pot thrown open to the world. One the watcher, the other protector, both gatekeepers of aloof hoofs and visiting lines of furrowing feet, and machines' tireless treads along the barbed briar beds, clinging to the broccoli blooms of omnivore hedgerows. There, throngs of choral vocals quarrel like epic locals, sowing old songs of united hope on a disinterested breeze. Shrills squeeze and pierce the life out of a fierce longing, a longing long lingering over a distant foreign headland, a hazy hinterland of townlands not part of a proper parish. An aureal longing, long sowed and mowed, harvested and digested, decades and distances ago.
To County Offaly now for a poet who, while born in Offaly, currently lives in County Cork and has had poetry published since 2014. Her debut collection, Twigs, was published in 2018, and in 2021 she had a poem selected for the Poetry in the Park by Cork City Libraries and Cork County Council, and in 2023 she released her second collection of poetry, The Woman Who Talked to Stones, Poems of Stone and Bone. Her poetry is influenced by nature, fairies, motherhood, and the sores and wounds of Ireland's past. No stranger to Eat the Storms for County Offaly. It's a delight to have with us once again on the podcast to celebrate Poetry Day Ireland. This is Yvonne Brewer.
My name is Yvonne Brewer, and today I'm reading for my home county, Offaly. Under Bealtina's pillow. My dreams carry me to my homeland on May Eve night, skipping through meadows of light, blowing dandelion clocks, dancing with wildflowers, winding their way through gaps in the bogs. Daisies in my hair, bog cotton at my feet, hawthorn blossom dreams of summer, under Bealtaina's pillow I warmly keep. I wake up under a magic May bush, May queen of our lands. Dressed in pretty ribbons, we pin our hopes and wishes for bright summer days in your hands. In your ancient branches, we listen as you hum. Summer will come, summer will come. Oh, summer will only come to those who can hear the beat of the honey bee's drum.
My next guest takes us to Strokestown to represent County Roscommon, and earlier this month I had the pleasure of meeting her at the University of Limerick's Creative Writing Festival, where in 2022 she completed her own MA in Creative Writing. And the year before that, in 2021, she was the Strokestown Poet Laureate. Widely published in anthologies and journals, she is the facilitator of the Portumna Pen Pushers. Her debut collection will be published by Ireland House at the Strokestown International Festival tomorrow on the 2nd of May. So it's a huge congratulations to my next guest here on the podcast today to represent County Roscommon for the first time on Eat the Storms. This is Noelle Linsky.
Fall of My Feet in memory of Josie McDermott. You read me by the fall of my feet on the dance floor. You say I hold the rhythm in my toes and the music of Loch Arrow throbs in my veins. You know my name among the long line of young feet, toes crossed, pointed and embroidered. By your lake shore, sewing notes together with your mind's eye, lament for a fiddle player reels from your fingers in a text composed on the keys of your barrel-dipped flute. The dimming of your sight remaps your shoreline, but appears to hone your ear like Turlough O'Carolan, like the mayfly that hovers over the loch. Too young to really know you or glean from your ballads, your plaintive airs. On the stage where we perform, your digits flit on the keys of your flute. My slip-cheek glides above the boards. Your eyes appear to be always elsewhere, unaware of my immature stare. Somewhere in the ask from the pulse of your breath, I reply with the beat in my young girl's feet.
To Sligo now for yet another familiar voice here on Eat the Storms, the author of 2 poetry pamphlets, the first in February 2022, A Dedication to Drowning, and she followed that in September 2023 with Home for This Darkness. She is currently studying for an MA in poetry at Queen's University Belfast, and I'm delighted that she's taken time out to join us today to represent County Sligo. It is always a pleasure to have with us on the podcast Maeve McKenna.
The School of Ancient Oak. Sacred trees lean into a weakened body, both lending themselves to spring in a pact of hope. This mid-April feast of cobalt skies and golden warmth that stokes new life into being is nature's teachings on growth despite age. I am its student of countless years, studying how the lone oak, exposed at the periphery of Lizardell Bay, soil shielding root eroded, branches sacrificed to the elements, remains stoic, majestic, canopies of catkins preparing to burst out, drooping clusters of yellow ready to leaf. We balance year to year, here at the cusp of land and sea. And while now distant from the school of my childhood, the ancient oak hosting new bark is my mentor. Knowledge is she will outlive me. I've learned I will always love her.
To County Tipperary now for another beloved stormer who not only has been a frequent contributor to the Storms Journal and also a marvellous guest on the podcast, but she too is now the creator of her own fantastic literary podcast, 1,000 Shades of Green. And if you haven't tuned in yet, then you don't know what you're missing. The author of the collections The Things My Mother Left Behind from Baxter House Editions, Tiger Lily, an ekphrastic poetry collection in collaboration with Jane Cornwall, and most recently Smatterings of Cerulean, a collection of short poems accompanied by photographs by Ken Whitehock. Today, for County Tipperary, we have the author of the blog Stories from the Edge of Blindness. This is the always mesmerising Susan Richardson.
Hi, Damien. Thank you so much for having me on this incredibly special episode of Eat the Storms. It's always a total joy to be in this space you created, but especially wonderful to be here celebrating poetry, Ireland, and my chosen home, County Tipperary. My poem is titled Surely This Is Home, or Ode to the River Shore. Surely this must be home, this steady rise and fall of current, these trees nourishing your blossoming banks, every sprouting leaf a heartbeat in suspension, a whisper of sunlit tidings in my ear. Life surges under the skin of watery bones. You are not a vine, but a stem, a sustenance, a breaking free from frigid fingers, a reminder that even the deepest sorrows eventually ebb. An elixir of daffodils escapes through a steely jaw of sky, softens your flow, wraps branches in twirling bird song, jade green notes that embrace this awakening. Your blooming light releases me into the gentle textures of peace, this land of mother's ancestors, this canvas of meandering river ballads and buttery fingerprints of primrose, is most surely home.
Last year, thanks to Gordon Hewitt over at the Community Arts Partnership, or CAP for short, I had the pleasure of introducing our Tyrone poet during a live Zoom event for International Page and Stage, and I was instantly blown away by both her content and delivery. She is a winner of the Sheamus Heaney Award for New Writing in 2024 and has had work published in a variety of Irish and UK journals, including Skylight, The Stony Thursday Book, The Cormorant, The Honest Ulsterman and Abridged. Today, joining us from her home in the Spirin Mountains, our County Tyrone poet is the one and only Michelle Dennehy.
John the Baptist would have felt at home here, in this fierce motherly swelling of hills, coral flames firing up the wide sky ocean, blazing the pewters, zincs, leads and steels. Crockin boy. John the Baptist would have felt at home here, in this fierce motherly swelling of hills, coral flames firing up the wide sky ocean, blazing the pewters, zincs, leads and steels. Such mighty beauty in the inconstancy, it hefts and hauls my heart, breaking every cage. I can see him now, that desert Baptist, scrambling in the wild light of this young day, over squelching wetlands on the hunt for bees' nests and their stocks of heathered honey. Thin, mudded fingers delve for treasure, hopeful, out it streams golden, glistening, sweet. Elizabeth's miracle child, and my angel-named friend, wanderer of the edges, watcher from the cusp. He would see the brown-furred hand of God here, would name the love that is crystallized in this ground. A mind picture blooms, blurred, sharpens slowly, two sets of dark weathered feet meeting on the sharp stoned bed of the Owen Killu. One cousin bends, cups his hand, the other bows his head expectant. The water drops and the new world opens.
And we are making our way toward the end of this very special episode to celebrate Poetry Day Ireland here on Eat the Storms and our very own May Storm. And for our fourth final county poet, we are heading to County Waterford for the author of the remarkable debut poetry collection Raised Among Vultures, which was published back in 2022 by the Gallery Press. It was a winner of the Southward Debut Poetry Collection Award. In 2023, she was awarded the Ireland Chair of Poetry Bursary, and an Arts Council bursary followed that in 2024 to work on her second poetry collection, Chic to be Sad, which will be with us later this year. So make room on your bookshelves, everybody. For County Waterford, this is a bloomin' marvellous Molly Tuomi.
Clover mites. Remember those red bugs we used to squish on our arms? Years later we learnt their shade wasn't blood, but pigment, so lacewings and mealybugs would think they tasted rotten as the damp chicken dippers you fed the turf grass and honeysuckle. Every afternoon I'd migrate to yours. We'd hear your mam turn Liveline up over your dad's roars. I was sick of manslaughtering Sims and the tadpoles I tried to save but poisoned with fairy liquid. Your mam was always scrubbing her kitchen like a crime scene before leaving for one of her 3 jobs. Your dad would yell your name over and over into the night with the electric fly swatter of his voice.
And to County Westmeath now we go for a poet who again is no stranger to the podcast or the journal. The author of 2 collections of poetry, In a Changing Light, which was published in 2016, and most recently Moving On, both of which were published by Salmon Poetry. With work appearing in a wide range of literary journals and anthologies, his work has also appeared on local and national radio. He is the co-coordinator and co-host of the monthly Words by the Sea open mic event in Donnelly. For County Westmeath, it's always a joy to have him on the podcast. This is Phil Lynch.
My name is Phil Lynch and I'm reading for County Westmeath. My poem is called Learning to Swim. Learning to swim. After a hot, dusty day in the hayfield, we would go for a dip in the lake. Never a swim. Full of bog holes, my father warned. Strong men had drowned there. Men with heroic deeds to their names could not be saved. Fear fully formed, stuck in the shallows for decades. It took a sizzling Greek islands holiday and the lure of the welcoming Aegean to spur me on. Back in Dublin, determined to be brave, I misjudged a grab for the side and went under at the deep end, nearly drowning in my panic to survive. It was this mishap that gave me the final push and the courage to believe that I could dive into the deep with nothing but water for support and keep going. When I drift back to that bog-holed lake, I wonder if I have ever fully let go.
And off we go to Wexford now for our penultimate county poet on this special episode today. We are welcoming now a new voice to the podcast whose work has been included in the Wexford County Council Wexford Stories, the National Poetry Readings, and he was selected as a poet for the MGIT Mayo Inaugural Poetry Pillar. His debut collection of poetry is called Cathedral in the Fields, and it conjures images of relatable life, of the struggles, the delights, the sorrow and the happiness and the wonder we all experience. I'm very pleased to welcome to Eat the Storms for the first time to represent County Wexford. This is Paddy Walsh.
Rockpool Alley, Paddy Welsh. A lot of time was spent there, parking between the shell house and the handball alley, shoehorned into the sodden crumbling cliffs. It was the safest place to be, wedged between the horizon and the alley. Giant cracked concrete steps led down to the sharp craggy foot of shale which divided the bay in two. It propped itself against the waves, as a heel against a revolving door. In its worn-away crevices lay windows, two encyclopedia and nature books that sat open on my bedroom floor. Frail, stringy, green seaweed shadowed its edges, offering shelter to anemones and rock crabs from small toes and snatchy grasps. Finding little was the usual, but the distraction of any possibility was constant, as we clambered each cut to the next tepid pot. The sun's reflection would escape beyond the headland, and the pools would coalesce, leaving foot washing as the task. Standing in the final evening wave, fluid sand dragged from the boundary of each foot, affirming the wonderment of Rockpool Alley.
And for our final stop today on this special episode of Eat the Storms, May Storm, our own celebration of Poetry Day Ireland, we are heading to Charlesland in Greystones in County Wicklow for a welcomed returning stormer who's been featured both on the podcast and also in the Storms Journal. Her fiction and memoir have been published and broadcast on Sunday Miscellany, The Living Word, and was part of the Francis McManus Award. She was also highly commended for the Costa Book Award. Her poetry collection is called Roots and Wings, and her novel is called A Bronx Summer, both of which were published by Revival Press. With poems in Skyline 47, Boyne Berries and Live Encounters, to name but a few, I'm delighted to welcome back to the podcast for County Wicklow our final poet today of 32 poems, 32 poets and 32 counties. This is a fantastic Frances Browner.
Charlesland by Frances Browner. There is a hill painted on my patio door. What is on the other side? The sea. Behind me are the sugar loaves and Drummond trees, Brayhead a barrier from the rest of the Malee. I will show you the sea from my balcony, from the top of the hill, frosty green, from the birds who nest in my eaves, chattering non-stop with ease. We can wander past the 9th hole, over to the pond where swans sit and sip, down to the 3 Trout stream, watch it gush over grey stones. We can take a walk on South Beach, or the track less travelled to Kilcool. I will show you my world. On to the N11 we can go, exits whizzing by from Newtown Mount Kennedy to Arklow. Over the Sally Gap we'll head, because we mustn't forget Wicklow West, Blessington, Baltinglass, Hollywood. My father worked in forestry, designing roads through Glendalough and Anamo. Are you in the Bray office today? Ma'am might inquire. But Frisky would already know from his casual attire. A suit and tie might mean Dublin, where dogs could not accompany him. After 20 years in America, I came home, not knowing that Wicklow really is home. This morning the sun rose over my hill. The trees are still, standing in my view, plants intact, flower boxes too, Wi-Fi working, perhaps a poem or two.
Poetic peeps and gentle persons, and betweeners and nonconformers, genders all and genders equal. We reach the end of this very special episode of Eat the Storms, the poetry podcast. This has been May Storm, a celebration of Poetry Day Ireland. A huge thank you to all of my delightful, dazzling, dreamy poets on the show today. We did in fact have 33 poets joining us to celebrate the 32 counties on this island of Ireland. And of course, a massive thank you to Poetry Ireland for not only supporting us through their Bright Ideas Fund, but also for creating Poetry Day Ireland and keeping us all connected and encouraging us all to create. For full details of all of my guests on today's show, you can head on over to the website eatthestorms.com, click on the podcast section called Listen to the Podcast, and there you will find a blog post for every episode. This was May Storm, and in that episode you'll find a photograph, a bio, a social media handle, all of the links you need to find and follow all of the stars on today's show. Now, while you are there, you will also find the details on the Storms Journal, our journal of poetry, prose and visual arts. Please take note that the Storms Journal issue 5 will be opening for submissions later this month, so do keep your eyes out on the website and all of our social media platforms. We will be looking for your poetry, your prose and your visual art. And all of that is thanks to Fingal Arts and the Fingal County Council and Dublin UNESCO City of Literature and the Dublin City Council. Now, in terms of the podcast, Eat the Storms, we will be back with you again this summer, and we'll be kicking off a new season. So far in the podcast, we've already heard from over 870 poets from every single corner of the globe. And later this summer, we'll continue that poetic exploration. But for now, from me, Damien B. Donnelly, thank you so much to all of you who have tuned in on platforms like Spotify, Apple, Breaker, Podbean, Player FM, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Castbox, Podcast Addicts, iTunes, Amazon Music and YouTube. May the light of today's show stay with you long after we've parted. If you are curious about writing poetry, I hope that today's episode has instilled in you a desire to find a piece of paper and a pen. If you are already a poet and you're looking for a platform, then perhaps drop me an email at eatthestorms@yahoo.com to put your name on the list for next season. Or if you're just a lover of all things poetic, then do check out the blog post and find, follow and be fans of all the guests on today's show, and equally on all the guests of past episodes. Until next time, I've been Damien B. Donnelly. This was Eat the Storms, May Storm, celebrating Poetry Day Ireland. Be safe, be bright, be well, and most of all, ensure that you all stay bloody poetic. Gurv míle maith agus slán go fóill.